welcome to mindful practice, mindful yoga, mindful flow. The time when we come together and we really just take a step back. And we're not going to try to rush through any of these practices. We're going to think about what we're doing. We're going to feel into the pose and bring as much enjoyment and benefit as we can to your body. That is the whole concept behind mindful flow. So today's practice is going to break down and do a little bit of workshopping with the pose downward facing dog. So I'm bringing this Back to Basics series back to life this fall, and starting with some real basic poses that appear in every single yoga class, especially every flow class. You're going to encounter downward facing dog. So just a little bit of background for you about downward dog, and then we'll get into it in a little bit and sort of break it down and workshop it a little more. But downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. I always trip over that last word, Svanasana. Adho is downward. Mukha is facing, so directionally facing. And Svana is dog. So downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Has wonderful benefits to the body. So it is a lengthening posture for the spine. Wonderful, provides some traction, really opening up and stretching the spine from top to bottom. It's a great strengthener for the arms, for the wrists. It stretches the wrists and arms. It stretches the hamstrings. And it's an inversion pose. It's not a deep inversion, but it is an inversion, meaning your head is slightly lower than your heart. This brings a calming effect to the body. Anytime that you're in an inversion, the body responds by letting go of tension and relaxing. It has a chemical reaction on your body. So that's one reason why it just feels so good to let yourself hang out in downward facing dog, provided that you have built the pose in such a way that is comfortable for your body. And that's what we're going to work on a little bit later. So let's just start off in a comfortable seat and let all of the thoughts and all of the to-do lists of your day fade to the background. I'm going to close my eyes, and I invite you to close yours as well. Just let your hands rest lightly on your lap. Take a nice soft deep breath in and sigh it out. Begin to feel your body. Feel the presence of your body in this space, and yet connected to all the wider space around you. You are in one place in time. You are in this moment. And yet your soul and spirit is connected to everything else in the universe. Let your shoulders relax. Let your neck and throat be soft. Feel the slight movement of your body as the spirit of life moves in and out with each breath. And the beating of your heart provides energy and nourishment to every cell in your body. If you've had anything heavy on your mind, any anxiousness, any stressors or triggers, see if you can imagine clearing out that negativity each breath you take. Inhaling the cleansing breath and exhaling, releasing anything that does not serve you best. Take 3 more breaths here. And see if you can slightly elongate each inhalation. And feel yourself grounded and cleansed with each exhalation. Exhalation. Go ahead and let it out. Bring your gaze forward again. Open your eyes. Let's lift our arms up and reach them overhead. Lightly tap your fingertips together, connecting the 2 sides. And then exhale, turn your palms outward and bring your arms slowly down. Next breath in, scoop your arms forward, palms up. Reach it up and overhead, frame your ears. Exhale, let your arms come down and release. And then one more time, out and up to the sides. Exhale and let it come down. Go ahead and take your left arm to your right knee, right hand behind the body. Lift up through your spine as you inhale, and as you exhale, start to twist to the rear. Stay here for another breath in this nice gentle twist. Exhale and release. Let's take that to the other side. Right hand on your left knee. Left fingers behind, lift up. Inhale, and as you exhale, deepen your twist. One more breath here. And come back to the center. We're going to lift our arms up about shoulder height. Go ahead and change the crisscross of your legs while you're at it. Let's just change that around so we even out those hips a little bit more. Bringing your fingers forward. Reach your fingers forward, keeping your spine as straight as you can. Reach them as far forward as you can, and then we're going to bend the elbows so that the elbows and the shoulders are the same height. Cross your left arm over your right. Bring the backs of the hands together. Inhale, and we're going to lift the elbows up. Little modified eagle arms here. Inhaling, reaching up and pushing those elbows forward. Exhale, and bring them all the way down to the chest and bend your neck forward. Inhale, lift them up. Reach them and extend. Exhale, bring the elbows down into the belly. Fold forward. And once again, lift and extend those elbows up. And exhale, bring them down. Just getting a nice stretch in the upper back, opening up the shoulder blades. Inhale, let's roll the shoulders around once and twice and 3 times, nice and wide, and then just change the direction. Roll it forward, around, and and 3 times. Really nice. All right, just kind of shake it out, loosen everything up. Should be feeling nice and loose in the upper body. Go ahead and open the legs wide. We'll take one little seated stretch here before we get up a little bit. So we're going to open into a wide leg seated position. Again, lifting up through the spine. Arms reach out and up. Inhale, and then we're going to fold forward in Upavista Konasana, bringing the hands down in front, lengthening your chest forward. So we're not going to try to fold forward deeply. We're going to just reach the chest and the heart directly forward and see if you can lengthen through the spine at the same time you're getting that inner thigh and hamstring stretch. Flexing your feet, you'll feel those hamstrings a little bit more. Take a deep breath in, exhale, and perhaps bring that chest a little bit further forward and down, always honoring your body for where it is today. One more breath. Very nice. Inhale and come all the way up. Take the right hand to the right leg. Left arm is going to reach up. Stretch it up to the ceiling. Lengthen. And then exhale, bring it over the ear. Turn and gaze upward at the ceiling. Roll that left shoulder back. Deep breath in. Exhale. Bring the arm up and down and switch sides. Always lengthening first as much as you can before you start the crest over the ear. Gazing upward a little bit, rolling that right shoulder back. Deep breath, beautiful. Bring the hand back up and down. Right, so come on to tabletop position. Warm up the body just a little bit before we get into our downward dog. And go ahead and take a couple of cat-cows. So dropping into tabletop first, just bringing some flexion and extension to the back as we move with the breath from cat to cow and back again. And again. Breathing deeply in for cow. Exhaling to cat. Let's do one more time through. And come to table position. We're going to go ahead and just press back into an extended child's pose for a moment. But I'd like you to bring your arms as far forward as they will comfortably stretch. So just reaching those arms forward, letting your forehead come down. Maybe even touching the mat with the forehead. Take another full breath here. And then slightly move your arms over to the left side. So just stretching your arms over, keeping them nice and extended. Perhaps taking your left arm to, say, 10 o'clock and your right arm to 11 o'clock. Take one more breath here. And then go ahead and move those arms to the center and then move them over to the other side. So your left arm is at 1 o'clock and your right arm is at 2 o'clock, roughly speaking. A couple more breaths. So we're getting some nice arm stretches and stretching into these sides as well. Bring your arms back to center. Go ahead and bring them up. Come back up to tabletop position. All right, so from tabletop, we're going to go ahead and bring the right foot forward between the hands. Lifting the left knee up, we'll come into a little lunge here. Bring your hands to your blocks if that feels better. Blocks are always great to help support the upper body. We don't want to dump down into that front leg, so we want to feel like we've got lift through the spine. And as you can see, there's a line that from the crown of my head all the way back to my heel, and that's what we're trying to do with that lift in the left thigh. Nice deep breath. Exhale, go ahead and lower the left knee. Lift your arms straight up, coming into a low crescent. First reaching north and south with your fingers all the way down to the tailbone. Take another breath in. Stay here, or you can take a little back bend if that feels good for you this morning. Bring the arms back up, forward and down. Lift the left knee back up and swing your right arm up into a lunging twist. Hold that for another breath. Beautiful. Exhale, bring that right hand down, drop the left knee, and slide the right leg back to tabletop again. Let's take one series of cat-cow, drop it to cow. Exhale to cat. Come back to table and bring the left foot forward this time. Just getting those initial stretches. Might feel a little tightness someplace. If you do, then work it out. You might feel it in the calf, the Achilles, maybe in the back or neck. Taking it nice and slow. Breathe. One more breath here. And then exhale, lower the right knee this time. Arms reach forward, up and overhead. Lengthen first. Take a deep breath in. And the option once again to take the back bend if you want to reach the heart up and forward. Hands come down on your next exhalation. Lift the right knee back up and swing the left arm out to the side. Take it to the twist. One more breath in. Exhale, left hand comes down. Go ahead and step your right foot forward. Take it to forward fold, Uttanasana. Lifting up through the core body. Feet are nice and steady. Shoulders are relaxed. Fingers lightly touching the mat or your blocks. And then inhale, walk the hands up the body. Help yourself to rise to the top. Reach your arms up and overhead. Exhale, slightly twist to the right and bring your arms in a T off the shoulder. So we're kind of bringing that right arm back, left arm forward. Bring the arms back up and overhead, twisting from your pelvis, turn to the left. Stretch your arms forward and back. Inhale, lift them up, and exhale, dive forward, hinging from your hips to forward fold. Go ahead and bring your hands down to the mat, and you can just gently walk your feet backwards and come down into a seating position. You can sit on your heels for hero's pose. And I'm just going to take you through a little bit of information about downward facing dog, and then we can start to practice it together. All right. So downward facing dog. We're going to begin in downward dog from a tabletop position. So the important thing about downward dog is that we're building it from the hand position. Most of our poses we're building from the feet because the feet are on the ground. We are building this one from the hands because that is our primary point of reference to start to lift the back end of the body up. So if we're starting in tabletop position, and you all actually can come, anybody's on the video, you can come to tabletop position, and maybe we'll just do this together. So in tabletop position, we have our wrists, elbows, and shoulders stacked. We have our hips and knees stacked. But we're pressing down through the palms, but not exactly equally through the palms. We want to bring a little bit more emphasis to the connection where the thumb and the index finger meet, because that side of the hand, that side of the wrist can carry a lot more weight than the outside. So those little bones on the outside of your wrist, they tend to compress and create some wrist pain. But if you bring your emphasis into the inner side, that's a much stronger part of your hand. So we want to open those fingers nice and wide. We want to bring awareness to the pads of the fingers. So the fingertips are pressing down too, not just falling right into the palms, but really creating a little bit of a lift through the palms. So generally speaking, your index finger and your middle finger are pointing forwards, but sometimes it helps to slightly angle them in. And we're doing that so that we can create a little bit of internal rotation on the arms. So if you come up off your pose for just a moment, take a look here. Bringing your hands forward, reach them forward. I'm doing this too so we don't spend too much time pushing down on those wrists. So if we're bringing the hands forward and we internally rotate, so think about you're holding on to two jars and you're gonna try to open them, spinning them toward the center. When you spin toward the center, you create a spiraling effect all the way up the arm. So you're spiraling toward the center, which turns these muscles inward, turns the bone structure inward, and that helps to seat and stabilize your shoulder joint as you're putting pressure on it. If you do it toward the outside, just because of the anatomy of the way the shoulders are built, we don't have as strong of a seat into the shoulders. So generally speaking, we want to try to spiral inward with our hands, with our muscles, so that you create a little bit of that internal rotation. And when you do that, you'll generally feel more stable in the shoulders and all the way across the upper back. So I just want you to kind of look and see what happens when you spiral inwards. It actually widens and stabilizes through the upper back. If you spiral outwards, you're pushing those shoulder blades together, and it just changes the whole anatomy of what happens in the shoulder joint. So having said that, let's come back to our hands. Starting with that hand position, pressing down in all of the points, the thumb, index finger, pads of the fingers, and then create that little bit of spiraling with the muscles and feel how that telegraphs the energy right up into the upper back and across the shoulder blades. So with that in place, we're going to curl the toes so that we can start to lift the upper body, and we're just going to start to lift the knees, and then we're going to start to press the legs toward the back, dropping the head down, releasing and relaxing through the head. And to start with, we can keep those knees soft. We can even keep them bent if the hamstrings are tight. But we're just pushing the legs toward the back. Your heels can be high, knees can be bent. And then we're going to think about lifting up and scooping into the belly, pushing the navel toward the spine. You're going to keep pressing down through those areas of the hands that we worked on. And then you're going to press those thighs toward the back of the mat. So your head is nice and relaxed. And then you're going to think about pressing your hips backwards as well as up to provide as much lengthening through the spine as you can manage. It feels appropriate. Take a couple of deep breaths here. All right, let's come forward, take a little break, take the knees down. Go ahead and sit back on those heels, take it to child's pose, and this time let's release those arms all the way to the back, coming into full child and just creating a nice soft resting shape. It might feel good to turn your wrists upward, bring your fingers up, so you're stretching through the wrists. Very nice. So that is basically how we're breaking down downward dog as a pose. But there's a couple of things I just want to mention for anyone who does have, is finding any challenges. There's a lot of ways to modify downward dog as well. So if you've got any wrist pain, any wrist weakness, we can add some height to the wrists through the use of a wedge, through even the use of blocks, which can sometimes help. You can roll a blanket, or excuse me, you can fold a blanket. You don't want to roll it. You can have a folded blanket, which brings up the wrists and keeps the fingers down on the mat. Anything you can do to lessen the flexion of the wrists is going to maybe alleviate some of that discomfort. If anyone's watching and they have particular questions, please feel free to reach out to me independently and I can help give you some supports. But in general, that's a good rule of thumb if you've got wrist issues. In some cases, you may even want to go to a fist and bring the knuckles down instead of bending the hands entirely. That's completely up to you. If that feels stable and supportive for you and is a better option, then you can create a wrist, which obviously, or excuse me, a fist, which takes all of the flexion out of the wrist. A couple other things to note: if the hamstrings are really tight, bent knees are completely appropriate. You never have to have your knees or your legs all the way straight. Heels can be as high as they need to be to help facilitate those hamstrings. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to go into it one more time and just practice a little bit. It's a little easier when I have people in front of me in a live class because I can actually see you and observe a little bit more and help provide some guidance. But we'll just run through it one more time with those cues in mind. So starting off with Hasta Bandha, hand to earth connection. Pressing down and really using those hands as our power point. Knees underneath the hips. Slightly turn that pickle jar lid a little bit toward the inside and therefore spiraling the energy up through your arms. Feel your shoulders widen and your shoulder blades widen as you do so. Once you've got this in place, curl those toes. Start to lift your hips and let your hips and thighs rise and push back toward the back of your mat. Raising the hips as high as you can, and yet keeping a nice straight flat back. So the idea is not just to lift your hips and your booty as high as it'll go and create this kind of sway back approach, but really pressing the thighs backward. Now once you're here, here's one thing I didn't mention before. If you slightly bring your toes inward and your heels a little bit outward, a teeny little pigeon toe, sometimes that can also help facilitate the hinging action in the pelvis. So breathe here. We're going to take 2 or 3 more breaths. And one more. Deep breath in, exhale, beautiful downward facing dog. one forward, drop those knees down. And once again, let's release those wrists, bring them around to the back of the body, and take a couple breaths in child's pose. Deeply cleansing with your breath, calming with your release. So with all of that in mind, let's go ahead and move and groove a little bit into our practice now, and we'll throw in some downward facing dogs in this flow, and you can see how it feels with those new ideas in mind. So starting off in tabletop, let's lift the knees up and press back for a breath in downward dog. Go ahead and walk the feet forward. Bring them up to the front of the mat, and we'll come to Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale and rise on up to the top. Reach your arms overhead, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale and dive forward once again, folding toward the floor. From forward fold, we're going to step back with the left foot, taking it into a runner's lunge. Take one full breath here. Exhale. Inhale. Step the left foot forward, forward fold. And then step the right foot back this time, taking it a lunge on the other side. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, and go ahead and step the right foot forward and forward fold. Inhale, reach all the way up. Exhale, turn to the left, open those arms wide. Inhale, bring the arms back up to the top, twist your pelvis to the right, open the arms wide. Inhale, bring them back up and forward fold. From forward fold, step back to downward facing dog. So this time we're stepping the feet back first, but we still want to try to build the pose from the hands and then bring that energy up and back. Deep breath here, lengthen through your spine, thighs reaching backward. And then we're going to inhale, bring the right foot forward. Come to runner's lunge from downward dog. Drop the heel of the left foot. Lift up to warrior one. Nice, strong warrior legs. Open your chest. Grasp each of your elbows with your hands, lifting and opening up under the armpits as you lift your chin slightly. Deep breath in. Exhale, bring those arms to goddess arms, elbows and shoulders roughly the same height. Exhale, bring your hands back down to the mat in runner's lunge. Slide the right foot back, downward facing dog. Stay here for an extra breath. Exhale. Inhale, drop knees down, tabletop position. Exhale, sit back on your heels. This time, bring your hands, instead of all the way to the back, we're going to bring them up and over the head. Connect your fingers above the back of your head. So creating a prayer hand above your head. Give a little stretch in the tricep as well. Breathe. And bring the hands forward and down. Come back up to all fours. press back to you know where, downward facing dog. Each time making that connection with the hands first, spiraling those arms, turning that pickle jar toward the inside. When you do that, see if you don't notice how much support you get in the upper back from those shoulders being more stable. Very nice. Inhale, we're going to bring the left foot forward for runner's lunge. As you do, exhale next, bring the right heel down and lift up. Once again to warrior pose, now with the left foot forward. Grasp those elbows once again, open up under the armpits. Let your heart rise and expand. Deep breath here, and then open to goddess arms. Bring your arms forward, up and down. Come back to lunge position. Left leg back to downward facing dog. Deep breath in. Tweak your pose. Okay, we're trying not to rush it. We're trying to think about all the wonderful things we're learning. And if you need some of those modifications and supports, give those a try. Inhale, come forward, knees down, and press back to child. Come down to your elbows, bring the hands up above the head once again, and create the prayer hands above your head. Deep breath in, exhale. Bring your hands down in front. Lift back up to table position. Pivot on your right knee. Bring your right hand down to the mat. Lift your left arm up. Come to stargazer. Perhaps lift that left leg up if you want to take a little more strength in the pose and press through the heel. Spine is nice and long. Option here would be to bend that left knee if it's up. Reach back with the left hand, grasp the foot, and connect the hand and the foot. You can keep it down, take any of these options. Release the foot, bring the left hand down, come back to all fours position, take a cow pose. And then exhale it into cat. Pivot on the left knee, left foot comes off the mat, left palm comes down, swing that right arm up for stargazer this direction. Bring that right foot up if you can, parallel to the floor. Takes a little extra strength in that glute muscle, good for the booty. And if you want to try to bend the knee, roll the right shoulder back, you can connect your hand and your foot, staying balanced. Breathe deeply. Very nice. Straighten out the leg, bring the right hand down, come back to all fours position. Excuse me. Take a cat-cow, dropping first to cow, and then exhaling to cat. Take one more time through. Exhale. Come back to table position. Lift those knees up and press back. Downward facing dog once again. Take 3 breaths here in downward dog. Refine your pose. See if you can find a little extra ease in some aspect of this pose. More breath. Inhale, walk your feet or step or jump up to the front of the mat. Forward fold position. Inhale, rise with your hands out to the side, up and overhead. Exhale. Arms are going to stretch and reach as we did before. Turn to face the right. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, twist to the left. Inhale, let's take that one more time. Inhale up. Exhale, turn. Inhale up and forward fold. From forward fold position, step back. One more time to downward facing dog. Deep breath in. Exhale. Inhale, right foot forward, runner's lunge. Inhale the right arm up on your next breath. Sorry, there was an out breath there too. Next breath in, reach into a twist. Right arm up. And then bring that right arm down. Stay in your twist. Bring the right arm down behind the back. So my right hand is on my lower back. And then go ahead and face forward. Keep your right hand behind the back and lift just the left arm up with the left knee down. So like a little modified crescent with the right hand behind the body. Just giving a nice stretch into that right shoulder. Exhale, both hands come forward and down. Lift the left knee up. Slide the right leg back. Press back to downward facing. Left leg comes forward. Runner's lunge. Keep the right hand down. Left arm sweeps up for the twist. This side, we'll take the left hand behind the body. Let the left arm just relax on the back of the body. Staying in the twist. And then we're going to keep the left arm there. We're going to face forward, bringing the right knee down, and then lifting the right arm up. Exhale, bring both hands back down. Slide that left leg back. This is our last downward facing dog. So make this a good one. Work through the building of the pose one more time. Hands, thumb and index finger, all 10 finger pads. Spiral the arms, feel the support of the upper chest. Lengthen the hips back. Really get a nice bit of traction in the spine. And then relax your neck. Come on forward, drop those knees down and release to full child's pose here. Relaxing the full body down, just releasing and letting those arms and shoulders relax. Some really good arm strengthening today. You might notice that. All right. As you're ready, come on forward again. We're going to come onto our seat, change it up, and just do a couple of seated hip openers. We're going to come to deer pose. So coming to deer with the right shin forward, left leg is going to spiral, sort of windmill out beside you. Then we're going to take the hands and just lightly bring the fingertips to the mat. And I say this because when we bring the hands down, we tend to just start to slump. We tend to start to just let it all come down. What I want to do is have your fingertips down and lift up through your spine as you make the turn to face that side. So lifting and extending, you now have your legs in deer position. Take a breath up with that extended spine, and then keep that spine long and gently walk the fingers forward. so that you can start to bring the body down. You can come down with your forearms on blocks. You don't have to go all the way down to the mat. Or if it feels okay, and that's all right on your hips and every place else, you can bring those forearms down on the mat and just relax the upper body. Breathe here. Any place that still feels tight, where you need a little extra softness, gently try to use your breath to relax and release. Walk those hands forward. Keep your legs in the very same position. And this time we're going to bring the hands out front. So once again, extend. Bring your fingertips down so that you help lengthen up. And then walk those fingertips forward. And this is going to be a more intense on that folded hip, on that left hip. So you may not come down as far as you did before. Again, your blocks are here for support. So if you just want to bring your forearms down on a block, and then start to release and relax through the hips, especially that right hip is going to feel this. It's getting the most intense external rotation. You can soften through the back now. You can let your head hang down. Start to walk it back up, come back to the top, and we'll simply switch those legs around. So bring the opposite leg in front. Whichever one you started on is fine. All right, so first, once you have your legs in place, that front shin is parallel to an end of your mat. A little space between the two legs. Turn and face away from your feet, fingertips down, press the fingertips, really push down to help elevate the spine. Breath in, and then with that elevated spine, you can walk the fingers away from the body, deciding how deeply you want to go down and fold. And just being mindful along the way. Start to walk your hands back towards your body. And we'll take that back to the front one more time. Hands come forward in front of your shin, fingertips down, and slowly walk it forward. just let ourselves roll all the way down. Go ahead and keep your knees bent and your feet on the mat. We're going to lift the arms up. Reach your arms up toward the ceiling. Go ahead and cross your right arm or your right wrist in front of your left. And then turn your palms so that they're toward each other. Almost like you're going to, go ahead and interlace your fingers. So you have your crossed wrist. And then just gently stretch into that right wrist. Your left hand is going to slowly pull your right wrist so that you're stretching behind that wrist. Just breathe into this very gentle stretch. Feel that stretch all the way down to the forearm. And then take it to the other side. So gently let that left wrist fold back. We're now extending and counter stretching those wrists. Go ahead and release your hands. Bring them down by your side. Take a breath in. Let's just wrap our knees into the chest. Come to Avanasana. Rock back and forth if that feels good on your spine. Go ahead and extend the whole body down the mat. Come into a nice neutral position for Shavasana, or if you need another pose, if you need to sit up for any reason, that's okay too. Just come into a nice, really gentle resting pose of your choice. And start to release every single muscle, every single cell. Imagine your skin being like liquid butter, softening, opening up passages rising back up. We'll meet in a comfortable seat. Together we'll lift the arms up and overhead, reaching into this sacred space. Drawing it down to connect deeply with the heart center. The light in me is honored and grateful for the light within you all. Thank you so much for practicing